So just when we thought California laws about handguns and the California handgun roster couldn't get any worse, the state of California went ahead and has now issued AB 2847. So before we jump into the video addressing AB 2847 and the modification to the handgun roster, I want to thank one of the supporters of the channel, and that is USCCA. USCCA provides legal protection and carry insurance for law-abiding citizens and residents like me and you. And I always recommend that if you concealed carry or you have firearms, that you have some sort of legal protection to protect yourself for the battle that comes after the fight. So if you're interested in that, I'll go ahead and pin a comment down in the video, and I'll also put a link to USCCA in the details. So when this bill first came onto my radar, a lot of people were saying, like, this is a good thing. They're trying to revise the handgun roster. It's going to make it easier for some handguns to get on the California handgun roster. But when you really dig into what exactly AB 2847 does, is it is a tactic and a way for the state of California to go about removing those handguns which are already on the handgun roster and making it very restrictive on the type of handguns that can then, after the fact, go on the handgun roster. So if you're not familiar with California's handgun roster, what it is essentially a list of handguns in the state of California that law-abiding citizens, law-abiding residents like me and you are able to purchase. Of course, law enforcement officers and peace officers are excluded from this list, so they can buy handguns that are not on the handgun roster. Now, of course, there's some nuance with this where residents, normal citizens like me and you can get an off-roster handgun through some alternative means, but that's for another video. So what exactly does this bill do? Why is it so atrocious, and why is it making the handgun roster and the permissible handguns that we can have in the state of California even worse than what it is right now? So real quick, there are two primary things that this bill does. First, what it does is it changed the microstamping requirement from two microstamping requirement to a single microstamping requirement. So a lot of people are saying that's good. There are going to be more handguns that are going to be able to be put on the list. The other thing that this bill does is it makes it so that anytime a new handgun is added to the California handgun roster, 3 of the older or the oldest handguns that exist on the handgun roster are going to be removed if they don't meet certain safety requirements that are listed in this bill. So what exactly is an unsafe handgun under this specific bill? And I'm just going to read for you real quick what the text says an unsafe pistol is. So it says, for a pistol, it does not have a positive manually operated safety device. It does not meet the firing requirement for handguns. 3, it does not meet the drop safety requirement for handguns. And then there are some new language that's added in here. And so 4, commencing July 1st, 2022, for all centerfire semi-automatic pistols, it does not have a chamber load indicator. So they're going to require a chamber load indicator. It does not have a magazine disconnect mechanism if it has a detachable magazine. So essentially they're going to require a magazine disconnect mechanism. And the last one is that it does not have the microscopic array of characters used to identify the make, model, serial number of the pistol, etched or otherwise imprinted in one or more places in the interior surface of the internal working parts of the pistol. So essentially the microstamping requirement. So if it does not have all of these features, it is not considered to be a safe handgun, and instead is considered an unsafe handgun. So a lot of people are saying, well, it makes it easier for more guns to be added to the roster. Whether or not that's true, I don't believe that that's true. I don't think it makes it easier for specific types of handguns to be added to the roster, because they still have to meet all these requirements. All these new handguns have to meet the microstamping requirement, the chamber indicator, they have to have the magazine disconnect, they have to be drop safe, all of those things that still has to meet those requirements for it to be added. But what's really bad about this is, let's say there is a manufacturer who makes a handgun like this. What will then happen is the California DOJ and the AG will then remove 3 handguns from the existing roster that do not meet the requirements for a safe handgun. And what they do is they start from the oldest entry to the newest entry. So eventually what would happen is, if handguns keep getting added to the roster that meet the safe requirement, eventually all the existing handguns that we have on the roster that are not considered safe under this new requirement will be removed. So what that really means is eventually all of our Glocks will be removed, even the Gen 3, 19s, 17s, all of those will be removed, and pretty much any other handgun that we have right now that does not meet these safe requirements, these handguns will then be removed from the roster. So really, this bill is atrocious. It's going to make the handgun roster in the state of California even worse than what it is right now. Don't buy into people who are saying that this is a good thing, we're going to have more guns available to us, because really what it's going to do is eliminate those handguns, those limited handguns that we have access to right now. It is going to remove them from the roster of handguns because they are not considered safe. So what can we do about this? One, what I always recommend is contact your local representatives and let them know that you do not support AB 2847. Another thing you can do that I always recommend is to support Second Amendment advocacy groups like Firearms Policy Coalition, because I'm sure they will be combating this. If you like this video and you'd like to support the channel, the best way you can do that is joining my Patreon, and I'll put a link to my Patreon down in the details. Another way you can support the channel is using the various affiliate links also found in the details section. So as always, thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, a nation that draws a great distinction between its scholars and its warriors, while its laws are by cowards and its wars fought by fools.